Recently, I got a rejection from a prestigious job that I applied to, and on the same day, I received a call to do something I love related to youth service and impact. It wasn't the only confirmation that I needed, but other things pushed me to create this video. I remember coming up with the idea for this video because I remembered it was Africa Day on the 25th of May, and I wanted to create a video somewhat connected to this around that day. I've really been a fan of Black Sherif, aka Blacko, for a while now, and his lyrics have been a source of hope and connection to my roots and purpose, as I know they are for countless other Ghanaian young people and other youth, not just on the continent, but globally, including in the diaspora. My hope with this video is to celebrate the artist that is Black Sherif while infusing perspectives of social injustices and inequalities, including financial hardship, job insecurity, generational trauma, navigating expectations, self-esteem, and doubt, etc. I hope to connect with others who can see themselves in his music. I'm sure, like me, music is a big part of your life. I've spoken about Ashake, aka Mr. Money, Mr. Worldwide, the Nigerian sensation, but today I want to bring it even closer to home and chat about none other than the icon, the young man who has attracted a very devoted youth following in Ghana and beyond, and that is Black Sherif, aka Blacko. I was on a badness when I was a kid. When everyone was going there, I was going here. Mohammed Ismail Sharif from the Ashanti town in Ghana, Konongo, in an interview for the Fader magazine, reflected on his early years. I have worked with and myself experienced being the young person who feels like they're going against the grain, who envisions a life for themselves that is not what is considered the standard or the expectation. Blacko tells the Fader that he had two choices: study at university or join his dad's business, but neither was what he wanted. It's at this point where things can go a number of ways, including in a direction of keeping your inner dreams alive or burying them. And I think this is something that is a real struggle for young people, feeling like they can't live in their truth. And then this can lead to acting out in ways that send us in further spirals. Blacko reflects, I wasn't happy in school, he says. It got to a time I wanted to stop and just come home and be whatever. I was sad, man. I wasn't living with my mum. I wasn't living with my dad. I was like, what's life? If I didn't go to university, that was what I'd be doing, selling my daddy's tires. In this, I hear the weight of decisions that many of us as young people carry. He was musical from a young age, and his parents and hometown provided music influences. His mum playing Ghanaian highlife, his dad reggae. I have worked with young people in the youth space for several years, and there's an emphasis on empowering young people to have their voices heard or creating platforms for youth to have a voice. And time again, I've seen how music is a tool for us. For Blacko, in those teen years, music became his outlet, and he discovered a gift for making songs. So when it came time for him to decide between university and working in his dad's business, he made a third choice: moved to Greater Accra at 17. Ochefu writes, only a teen at the time, he'd found the move difficult, but it felt like what he needed to do to achieve his purpose. I had no choice, Blacko says. I felt like I could just go home and stay there, but I'd be useless. I didn't want to be useless to myself or my family. I found life in music, I won't lie. We know we can't all be best-selling artists performing and touring and releasing music that makes the charts. But I think in Blacko's journey, we can see how no matter who you are and what circumstances you've come from, when you have a vision for your life that doesn't match your reality, you have to really bet on yourself. I think we can throw around the phrase bet on yourself, believe in yourself and your dreams, but what it actually takes internally to do this is no small feat. Blacko's self-belief and the investment he made to develop himself as an artist is not only what makes him an example of excellence, he actually has the lyrical talent. It is evident that Blacko is very intentional with his storytelling. He told Fader, "I always want to get my stories right. The message needs to be right before it gets out, because I don't know how people are taking my music. It could be deeper than what I think it is. Whatever we're putting out there, it's out forever." Blacko was asked by Adu Jemfi from Pause, as someone who resists categorization, how do you think your sound is reshaping the identity of Ghanaian music today and for the future? I love that Blacko's response is one of still figuring everything out, but simultaneously assured that what he's bringing is, quote, some realness. He gives words to what I feel about his music. Yeah, some realness and some rawness into the music, into the melodies, into the being. Blacko wears his heart on his sleeve, eager to show the whole shape of himself in his music, his past relationships, loss, his own life history, Christine Ochefu writes for the Fader. Yeah, we know Blacko is a celebrity now, but seeing his fans for myself, being in Ghana and hearing his music playing all over, you get a real sense that he means a lot to young people, especially. And I do see him as an artist who is of the youth and for the youth. In reflecting on what success looks like to him, Blacko says, this success means maintaining it or growing it. The real beauty is not in the results, it's in whatever contributed to the success, the people that helped you or the habits that got you there. The paper, the money, they're bonuses, man. In the interview with Fader, he speaks to the importance of habits, which we have to have if we're trying to quote unquote make it out. When you lose the habits, you're going to lose this success. I don't ever want to lose myself. I don't have to see me how other people see me. I have to see me how I see me. Going back to what Blacko means to Ghanaians, one of the articles I read that informed this video was one done by Javine Adujemfi, who conducted the creative direction and interview with Blacko for Pause magazine. What I love about Adujemfi's cover story was that they wanted to ground this work in his origins, and I quote, so others can witness just how aspirational your journey truly is as we visualize the opening scenes of a story still unfolding in real time. Yes, Blacko is global, but his perspective is relatable to Ghanaian youth because he's lived it. Adu Jemfi asks about the extent to which he draws on the Akan philosophy of Sankofa, which Adu Jemfi describes as reaching back to carry what might be lost. And Blacko responds that it has guided him. He speaks to how his creative process and being is informed by very early influences, like stuff from my hood, conversations I heard as a kid about what it takes to be a good performer, who the good musicians were, what good music is. I think what I really pick up on Blacko's tone in his songs is that music is freedom. It's empowerment. Blacko connects with this deeply, reflecting, if I remember a timeline of where I really wanted to put everything out and go all in, it was after high school. And then after that, the most precious thing in my life was me knowing that I could make music and write music. I think music gave me that confidence. It sounds really generic, but that's really what it is. I think confidence cannot be underestimated, and it's not easy to build either. And in many ways, it requires you to go through broken moments that you end up transmuting into strength. And when it comes to youth programs, they often have the objective of building confidence. I hadn't listened to Blacko's album, The Villain I Never Was, before, but wow. I was really interested to find out that he sacrificed playing at festivals across Europe in order to complete his debut album at home in Ghana. I left it all to finish this album because I wanted to give it my all, Blacko said. I think this shows the level of intentionality that went into this album. And when you listen to the album from start to finish, you are taken on a journey. Adu Jemfi writes that Blacko's music often resists straightforward storytelling. Instead of a neat closure, it leaves space for reflection and emotion. And that his sonics are a form of telecommunication, frequencies that people don't just hear, but also have to feel and think through. Blacko says, I enjoy music when it's personal, and I enjoy making music when it's personal. When it's super personal, it's the best. As young people, I think we respect realness, and so we can connect with Blacko's honesty and vulnerability. He is who he is. He embraces his story. I love what he says here. And also, I believe that I'm part of this world. I'm part of a collective. So if it's personal to me, it will be personal to other people, you know. I really feel like this is a coming of age journey. Adu Gemfi for Pause magazine highlights that Blacko's music transforms pain into possibility, and despite its grit and rawness, carries a sense of optimism. Adu Gemfi asks what Blacko hopes to incite with younger generations and what the most important message is that he wants them to take away from his music. His response is, I want them to take limits off their dreams. It's interesting because he describes this idea that many of us can probably relate to. You begin affirming the life you want before it appears. He reflects on sitting on top of the gutter in front of my auntie's house, and I would sit there and start with headphones, writing. It didn't make sense to the people around me. They think you are just another guy. Like, there's no way you think you're going to take a pen, a book, and then you'll make music and become big. There's no way you are here thinking like that. But the kids in my hood will tell you, like the ones that know me, I can see it in their faces when I go back there, that they feel so far from me. Those are the things that bother me sometimes. Those are the things that are worrying me right now because it confuses me as a person. I know how big we've become, but then that's what I also want them to take from my journey as an artist and as a songwriter. I think this is a real issue for some youth. It's having the belief in themselves that they can be an exception, that they can be excellent. And so personally, Blacko's music, and since really listening to The Villain I Never Was in its entirety, I really feel encouraged as a young person who can connect with these themes of overcoming and never giving up and restoring hope in our life. And even just that part where Blacko speaks about going back to his hometown and seeing the guys that he grew up with there and seeing in their eyes that they don't feel like what's been possible for Blacko is possible for them. What I've seen, especially in the youth space, there are those young people that are excelling or that they seem to have been living achievement after achievement, but there are these young people that can really be left behind or overlooked and even underestimated. And these are the young people that I think are really essential in ensuring that we're all rising and we all have the opportunity to live a life that's meaningful and full, and one where we feel we have access to the opportunities that can help us make it out. But unfortunately, a lot of the time, there are young people who don't have the ability to do that in all stages of their life. And it's at the early stages of one's youth where crime, getting involved with the wrong people, and just doubting yourself, and that can really take on a trajectory. So I really am all for programs for people who are about ending those cycles, about helping young people who do come from challenging circumstances to know that they can make it into these rooms that seem right now inaccessible to them. And if you have any programs like that that you know about, or if you've just got any ideas about how we can better reach young people who are in those places, because in some respects, I was a young person who was coming from that kind of background. So if you have any ideas about that, or if you even want to share more of your own journey, leave that in the comments. Fader describes this as a raw reflection on past mistakes, a statement of desire to move forward, a better man. Kwaku the Traveler, I love this song on the album, and I really love that line. Excuse the curse words there, but I do really feel like this is the kind of language that young people can speak. And while I'm definitely not an advocate for that, and try not to use that kind of vocabulary myself, I think when we come into the music space and creative spaces, there does need to be from older generations and understanding that this is the language of young people and young people who have been through hard things. Like, this is the realness again that we're talking about with Black Sherif's music. But I really liked this because I think, there can also be this pressure on young people to be perfect, to make all the right decisions, to know exactly what careers they're going to go into. And it's like, who hasn't ever made a mistake? And sometimes I think we see the adults in our lives. We even see the people who've reached high positions in different spaces just share only the highlights. And while, of course, no one is obligated to share some of the hardships, I think that we all can agree that we relate better to people who are honest, not pretending that mistakes are something that should never happen. Second sermon put Black Sherif on the map. I hadn't listened to, as I said earlier, Blacko's The Villain I Never Was from start to finish. And so I actually listened to this album like fully last week. And the first song, that emotive voice and the lyricism had me like, this is why we love him. I had come the day before from a program with young people, basically awaiting court dates, and basically who had young people who've had their liberties taken away, their freedom taken away. And so when I heard this song and I was listening to the lyrics, I really feel like they channel that determination, the grit, the focus that you need to change your circumstances. And this was part of his story, as we know, when he moved from the Ashanti region to Greater Accra, the area that hosts Ghana's capital city, which is more fast paced. It's definitely difficult to make it. And homelessness is a big issue. It's a big experience, I guess, a big part of his story. And yeah, the lyrics, I just think, wow. So, this is definitely a coming of age song when you have gone within to discover your purpose and get clear on what you're doing in life. I love Blacko's lyrics, and I actually started lip syncing them because it has been a way as well for me to learn some Chi. And yeah, this is an anthem. I can hear young people chanting the chorus with their full chest. It kind of mimics sonically the energy when things are maybe coming together for you, but you're still coming up against challenges. It's a great one. The beat is sick, as the youngins would say, as we can say. The beat in on this one, I love that there are real lyrics in there though, and it's engaging. This song is engaging with themes of hardship, failure, and the weight of expectations. But what I really like about Black Sherif's music is he does it in such a way that's honest and sophisticated. Really, his lyrics are up there. At this point, as I was listening through the album, heard some of these songs, just I'd heard them individually. But at this point, I was like, yeah, he's a star. This is what I call a project, art, a masterpiece. And these three songs and the last one I'm about to play, the drill sound. And there is a part of where, kind of in the greater area of where I live, where the drill sound really had a major influence, but unfortunately, that was also being used as a way to kind of, I guess, profile young people as violent, and drill music was associated with that, which for good reason, because we've heard some of these lyrics. But I would say that the beats and the sounds, like I'm now also seeing individuals, young people, groups of young people who are using the drill sound to spread positive messages. Search for better life, man, no get, or something along those lines. Like, the lyrics, the vocals are powerful. Oh, you heard me. This is a very honest, painful experience that all of us go through in some way. I just love the singing on this track and his tone. When you hear a Blacko song, you know that that's him. His sound is very distinct. The ad libs on this are just angelic and just strike you at your heart. And it speaks to that toxic end we get to when situations prolong longer than they should. We stay because we don't know where to go, as the lyrics say. In the interview with Pause, Blacko says that with stories he can't share that are so personal, he hides them in the ad libs and the harmonies. And so when I heard this track, just the harmonies, the ad libs, the whole sound was just like, it was creating a moment. It was creating a moment. So this is definitely my favorite song on the album. It's one more song. If, like me, you can't really fully understand Chi, then looking at the music video will really help tell the story, but it's actually like such a tragic, sad song. And so just really that honesty and that personal sharing that Blacko was speaking about earlier in his music, when he feels music is the best, is when it is super personal. This is a super personal experience that he went through. And I'm sure many of us can relate to that experience of losing someone that we really love, and just a certain kind of grief and pain that comes with that. And this song, just how he sings the song and just the lyrics, and I was just like, wow. Wow, really no words for that. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this video. Madasipa, thank you so much for watching, for being here. This video, this whole album means actually a lot to me, and it has really been helping me process some experiences I've been having recently. Started off this video by sharing that kind of, being in the youth space and having the opportunity to connect with young people who are at different parts of their journey, especially ones going through really tough circumstances right now, that's really what brings me a lot of life, a lot of hope as well. And I truly believe that no young person should be left behind. And I really feel like this album, if you haven't already listened to it, go to check it out. If you are a Blacko fan already, let us know what your favorite songs are in the comments. And I hope to see you in the next video. Take care wherever you are, and thank you for being here.